It's Wednesday, August 5. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. 15 new samples have tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. This brings the total number of confirmed cases in Jamaica to 920. Meanwhile, 2 patients have been numbered among those recovered and released from care. Total recoveries from COVID-19 now stands at 745. The new cases consist of 5 females and 10 males, ages ranging from 23 to 59 years. 4 of the cases have addresses in St. Thomas. 3 are classified as contacts of confirmed cases. 1 case is currently under investigation. There are 8 cases with addresses in Clarendon, including 7 classified as imported, 1 which is a contact of a confirmed case. The remaining 3 cases are 1 from Kingston and St. Andrew and 2 from St. Catherine. These 3 cases are classified as contacts of confirmed cases. And several members of staff at the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas were sent home on Monday after one of their colleagues tested positive for COVID-19. The development comes as the island's health authorities are expressing concern about an increase in COVID-19 cases. The University of the West Indies is to receive a real-time reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction RT-PCR machine and 2,000 testing kits valued at approximately $100,000. Director of the ICENS, Charles Grant, says he negotiated the deal with the International Atomic Energy Agency for the RT-PCR, which is a nuclear-derived technique that allows for rapid detection, tracking, and study of COVID-19 and other viral diseases. It is reportedly able to deliver reliable diagnoses in as little as 3 hours. The National Water Commission, NWC, says the Hermitage Dam is now at 36.2% of capacity and the Mona Reservoir at 32.9%. Despite the improvement, the NWC says Jamaicans should continue to conserve as water levels are still not where they need to be. There's no word yet on whether or not the prohibition order will be extended. It's been in place since July 9.
Under the prohibition order, using water unnecessarily constitutes an offence. Offences that are to be punishable by a fine imposed by the parish court after conviction, or for failing to pay the fine, imprisonment for up to 30 days are watering of gardens, lawns, grounds, and farms, refilling of tanks, ponds, or swimming pools, and or for use other than normal domestic services, washing of vehicles by the use of a hose, watering or washing roadways, pavements, paths, and garages, any purpose which may require the use of considerable or excessive quantity of water. For the news, I'm Simone Absalom.
Stakeholders in the entertainment industry met with local government minister Desmond McKenzie today, August 5, to discuss increasing violations of the protocols governing the reopening of the industry. According to Mr. McKenzie, since reopening the sector, a survey shows that over 700 events were staged without any permission being sought. Mr. McKenzie says in other instances where approvals for events were given, the agreed conditions were blatantly breached. The local government minister is also concerned about the continued misuse of beaches and rivers, which were also reopened to the public on July 21 for a 10-day period. $2 billion. That's the estimated loss from the cancellation of this year's Denbigh Agricultural, Industrial and Food Show. The decision not to hold what would have been the 68th staging of the Denbigh Show was due to coronavirus restrictions. The Denbigh Agricultural and Industrial Show is a hallmark event held under the patronage of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. The annual event has been embedded in the unique culture and the broad fabrics of the Jamaican people dating back to 1953. Situated on 29 hectares of picturesque land at Bay Pen in Clarendon, the Denbigh Show comes to life for 3 days of pulsating activities, offering wholesome entertainment to over 60,000 patrons. The government has given assurance to farmers in Eastern St. Thomas that they will not be displaced from lands that they now occupy. The lands are controlled by the Sugar Company of Jamaica. Gabriel Thompson has that story.
In 2009, the assets of the St. Thomas Sugar Estate were divested by the government. SCJ Holdings manages some 65,000 acres of former sugarcane lands across the island. Today, dozens of small farmers informally occupy former farmlands in eastern St. Thomas. However, in recent months, some of these farmers have been complaining about being given notice to exit 500 acres of lands said to be leased to a cattle owner. The farmers wrote to the public defender Arlene Harrison Henry about the matter. On Thursday, July 30, she, along with some concerned farmers, met with SCJ boss Joseph Shukair.
Now, Mr. Shukair has come here this morning and has admitted to the farmers group over there that the Sugar Company of Jamaica, with full knowledge that farmers were on the land, gave a lease to a company, and we understand now that is for the growing, raising and breeding of cattle on the land, and that this was done without consultation, without consultation with the farmers who were already on the land. These sugar farmers are displaced sugar workers. Jamaica will know that the sugar companies in this part of eastern St. Thomas have been closed, and there is no work for people, no land for people, and that they have sought to earn their living as decent Jamaicans. Has already taken barbed wire fence and fenced up certain areas. So what you are saying is that even that he's prepared to take up those fencing and to be removed.
I have told you what I am prepared to do. I am the landlord. I own the land. There are provisions in the lease that can bring it to an early end. Yes. There are provisions in the lease which would require him, if there are people on the land farming, he pays a reduced rent for the areas that are not leased.
Mr. Shukair said that SCJ is now in the process of regularizing the farmers as well as to make arrangements for those that want to be relocated.
As I told them, government's intention is not to make money out of them, but for them to grow crops, to better the national economy and to create a livelihood for their families. That is how we reap our reward, by their productive activity which benefits the economy. Secondly, there is a group of farmers that want to be placed elsewhere, and they too will be placed elsewhere with leases. The message is, farmers, stay where you are. An SCJ team will visit each of you. We will determine your situation and we will regularize you with a proper lease agreement. If it is where you are now and that's where you want to stay, then you will have to stay there.
The meeting became animated at times as the anxieties of the farmers became apparent. However, veteran politician and current House Speaker Pernell Charles assured them that the government would not allow their displacement, a point echoed by his daughter, Dr. Patrice Charles Freeman.
The Minister of Agriculture has advised that lands in the Golden Grove area that's owned by the government will be distributed to cane farmers, and that the government will also assist them.
I have been informed by Mr. Shukair and SCJ that the farmers that are currently on the land should stay, and that he's asked us for 2 weeks to come back to inform us of how he will be distributing the land. This is very important. Today is a good day for the farmers. We're going to give him the 2 weeks. We're going to hold him accountable, and we expect that he's going to come back with the information needed so that our farmers can stay on the land.
The assurance given to the farmers from SCJ is that in the second week in August, the company would start the process to standardize the leasing of the 500 acres of contested lands. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
With all large-scale events banned until further notice, Jamaica's Emancipendence Festival season looks a little different this year. We sadly won't be enjoying the vibrant face-to-face atmosphere of some of our favorite activities, but we have been able to get a taste of the action by tuning into the virtual festivities taking place. The virtual Independence Show, Jamaica 58 Independence Spectacular, will be held tomorrow, August 6th, at the National Arena, in keeping with the necessary restrictions on gatherings to reduce the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. More from Marlon Samuels.
The Jamaica 58 Independence Spectacular gets underway at 4 in the afternoon on Independence Day, Thursday, August 6th. The theme for this year's celebration is Resilient and Strong. Let's celebrate Jamaica 58. Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, says, quote, "Despite all that we are facing as a people, especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic impacting the world, we still have our indomitable little but Talawa spirit," end quote. In line with current social distancing measures, the virtual Jamaica 58 Independence Spectacular will be woven with music, drama, song and dance, focused on the theme Wheel and Come Again. Performers who will make this virtual experience special include 2020 Festival Song winner Buju Banton, Tessan Chin, Bounty Killer, Beenie Man, Wayne Marshall, Kevin Downswell and Kukudu. The show strikes the perfect balance between making Jamaicans feel like the independence festivities is centered around them, while safely enjoying themselves. Jamaican music stars Shaggy, Marcia Griffiths, and Ken Booth will be honored during the celebrations. The three will be presented with Jamaica Reggae Icon Awards. The virtual show starts with an Armed Forces Day parade. The Jamaica 58 Independence Spectacular will be broadcast live on Independence Day, Thursday, August 6th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., right here on PBCJ, the People's Station. I am Marlon Samuels. Happy Independence.
The movements of the financial markets have become increasingly susceptible to the global COVID-19 pandemic. Time now for the business report.
In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 3,539 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 83 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 35 declined, and 13 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 15 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Variable Preference, AMG Packaging and Paper Company, and Berger Paints Jamaica. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica, 1834 Investments, and Blue Power Group Limited. Trading firm were Barita Investments, Siboney Group Limited, and Elite Diagnostic Limited. 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference was the volume leader with 12 million units, followed by Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with 11 million units and Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares with 9.4 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Tuesday, August 4, ended trading at $148.75. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $112.16. The pound sterling traded for $194.19, and the euro ended trading at $176.55. Oil prices rose to their highest since early March on Wednesday after data showed a big drop in U.S. crude inventories, although concerns that mounting coronavirus infections will lead to reduced fuel demand capped gains. Brent crude futures rose $1.03 to $45.46 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained $1.03 to $42.73 a barrel. That's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
It's World Breastfeeding Week. In this week's Living Healthy report, we learn about the benefits of breastfeeding. It's the cheapest baby food, protects against allergies, eczema, and much more. More from Simone Absalom.
This week, the world is recognizing the importance of breastfeeding under the theme Breastfeeding for a Healthier Planet. You should know that breastfeeding your baby will result in less illnesses overall and less hospitalization. It builds stronger immune systems. Your baby will get fewer colds and respiratory illnesses like pneumonia and whooping cough. Your baby will have fewer ear infections, better vision, and less retinopathy of prematurity. Breastfeeding lowers rates of infant mortality. For the mother, breastfeeding lowers the risk of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, lowers the risk of rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and more. Today, August 5, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, is hosting a webinar aimed at supporting and promoting breastfeeding during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Gov't, PAHO and World Health Organization's representative for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean countries, tells us more about breastfeeding in this era and responds to concerns about breastfeeding while recovering from the novel coronavirus.
Breastfeeding is one of the most effective ways to preserve child health, nutrition, and development. It is safe, clean, contains antibodies, and provides all the energy and nutrients that children need to protect them against many common childhood illnesses. Breastfed children perform better on intelligence tests, are less likely to be overweight or obese, and less prone to diabetes later in life. Women who breastfeed have a reduced risk of breast and ovarian cancers. Breastfeeding is less costly, easily available, and accessible. This is especially relevant this year in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Although active virus has not been found in breast milk to date, concerns have been raised about whether breastfeeding mothers with COVID-19 can transmit the virus to their infant or young child. They don't. These concerns may put breastfeeding practices at risk and jeopardize the gains achieved so far. Hence, a call is made during this week to scale up protection, promotion, and support to breastfeeding, safeguarding the gains achieved to date. Countries are also encouraged to implement the baby-friendly hospital initiative, ensuring that mothers and newborns receive timely and appropriate care before and during their stay in maternity and newborn facility, and to enable the establishment of optimal feeding of newborns. The theme this year is Support Breastfeeding for a Healthier Planet, aiming at creating awareness of the positive influence that breastfeeding can have on tackling the impacts of climate change. Breast milk is naturally renewable food that is environmentally safe and green because it is produced to the consumer, the baby, without pollution, packaging, or waste. Happy Breastfeeding Week to all new parents. Thank you.
This has been Living Healthy Report with Simone Absalom.
In regional news, Bahamas is now under a 2-week lockdown designed to flatten a rise in COVID-19 cases. Italia Hall of ZNS News gives us details on the lockdown.
Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, announcing a national lockdown. This comes as the total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the country approaches the 700 mark. The national lockdown, which is set to begin on Tuesday night at 10, will be for a minimum of 2 weeks. Nearing the end of the lockdown period, Health officials will assess the health data and advise whether a further lockdown period is necessary.
There has been an exponential increase in the number of cases, an increase in hospitalization, an increase in the demand for intensive care unit beds, and sadly, an increase in the number of deaths. The extension, relaxation, or cessation of the national lockdown will in part be determined by the cooperation of Bahamians and residents alike.
Now, Grand Bahama has been under a lockdown since Thursday, July 23rd, and the lockdown is set to end on Friday, August 7th at 5 a.m. The Prime Minister announcing that an assessment will be made of Grand Bahama nearing the end of his lockdown period, and a determination will be made whether an extension is necessary. Food stores, water depots, pharmacies from curbside or takeaway windows only, and gas stations will be open on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the general public, and again on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. for essential workers.
The purpose of alternating days is based on health guidelines that strongly demonstrate that limiting movement and having clear days where there is no movement helps to minimize the spread of this deadly disease.
Commercial banks are allowed to operate Monday, Wednesday, and Friday until 1 p.m. Accommodations will be made for international banks, trust companies, and financial institutions to have a skeleton team in office or on the same day.
Construction will be permitted to continue, having regard to the fact that we are in hurricane season. This will be permitted Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Hardware stores are permitted to provide curbside service only Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Private medical facilities are permitted to provide emergency medical care and immunization Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Routine services are suspended. Essential commercial ports are permitted to carry out services. All other businesses and offices are required to suspend operations and are to have their staff work remotely where possible. The National Food Distribution Task Force is currently assisting more than 27,000 households throughout the country and will continue to operate during the lockdown. The Prime Minister says the battle against COVID-19 has been a terrible strain on the country. The nation's leader says COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon, and the country will defeat this second wave. He says he understands the frustrations of many and is aware that pandemic fatigue is setting in as many are tired of restrictions. However, Bahamians must not let that frustration cause their behaviors to change. It's Halia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Newly installed President of Guyana, Ephraim Ali, has been meeting with members of government agencies as well as the diplomatic corps. We get more in this Infohub report.
President Ali's first task on day one of being in office was meeting with his staff at the Ministry of the Presidency. During a short address, he revealed that in his first week, he hopes to establish government ministries and appoint his cabinet ministers. Quote, "Before the end of this week, we hope to have all the ministries established with the cabinet ministers appointed. The areas of responsibilities will have to be detailed and gazetted, and then we can move forward as a more general and broad discussion in relation to the priorities and the focus of the new government. So we're in this together for a better Guyana," end of quote. Stating that the Ministry of the Presidency is the highest office in the country and that it should have the highest level of service at the highest standard, the new president urged his staff to work as a team and behave in a manner befitting of the office. Quote, "It is not only the president that makes this environment successful. I'm fully aware of this. I've always been a strong believer in teamwork. I've always been a strong believer in collective thinking, so I expect all of you to recognize that we have to operate at the highest standards in the most efficient way, and we have to set the bar for the rest of the public service and the rest of the country, end of quote. His Excellency stated that while changes will come, as is common with a transition, plans must result in the ultimate benefit of all the Guyanese people. He also made it clear that nothing will be done in a manner to fuel insecurities or distrust, or in a way that can fuel thinking in a society that cause actions that can lead to disunity. Next on his agenda, on day one in office, President Ali, along with the Vice President, Dr. Jagdeo, met with members of the diplomatic community where areas of mutual interest were discussed. Vice President Dr. Jagdeo, Prime Minister Phillips, new Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandlal, and Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, the Honorable Gil Teixeira, met with the permanent secretaries from the various government ministries on the way forward. During the course of the day, President Ali, accompanied again by Vice President Dr. Jagdeo, Prime Minister Phillips, and Dr. Frank Anthony, met with the National COVID-19 Task Force. During that meeting, the new head of state was briefed about the pandemic in Guyana. Dr. Ali is quoted as saying that the current pandemic is the single most important issue facing the country and that it has serious implications for the country's economy. Also present at the meeting was Acting Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, Brigadier Godfrey Best, and Acting Commissioner of Police, Nigel Hoppy. Later on, President Ali, along with all the members of his appointed transition team, met with members of the local business community at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. Felicia Valenzuela, Infohub.
In sports, reggae boys Michael Hector and Bobby Reid are reaching for higher heights in their career despite the challenging times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The football stars have been promoted to the English Premier League after defeating Brentford 2-1 in extra time in the Championship playoff final at Wembley Stadium on Tuesday. The promotion will take the number of Jamaicans internationals into the English top flight to 3, as the duo will now join Leicester City's club captain Wes Morgan. And that's our package. Join us again on Friday for more news and sports right here on PBCJ. Till then, happy independence.